Hey guys, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden. Today, you guys can tell by the title that we are going to be doing my top 10 or just my 10 comfort games. These are just games that I can get to the table and it just brings me joy. It's easy to get to the table, there's never any hesitation. These will all be games that I just continue to love over and over again, and they just bring me comfort. I figured this would be a good time to do this because we are moving into fall and it's everything just like cozy and comfortable and warm, and that is what all of these games bring me. So I would love to actually know your comfort games down below. If you guys want to comment those down below, I'd love to see those. But we're going to get into it. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Comment down below, like I told you guys, your comfort games. Subscribe if you have yet to do so. Without further ado, let's get into my 10 comfort games. So we're starting off with 2 honorable mentions. Of course, there has to be honorable mentions, but these both are honorable mentions for different reasons. But the first one is Cascadia. Cascadia is published by Flat Out Games and AEG and designed by Randy Flynn. And this one is quickly getting its way up to being one of my comfort games. I've only had this for about 2 months and we've played it about 5 or 6 times, and then I've played it solo a few times as well. And it is just, like I said, quickly becoming a comfort game. It is just so easy to get to the table. It just brings me so much joy playing this game over and over. The puzzle never seems to get old. I just love trying to beat my high score, and it's just so beautiful, and again, like I said, so easy to get to the table and teach to different people. So Cascadia is quickly becoming one of my comfort games, but I didn't want to have it in the top 10 or like the 10 that I'm going to be talking about today because I've only had it for 2 months, and pretty much all of these that I'm going to be talking about I've had for quite a long time, at least like 6 months. So this one I didn't think quite deserved a spot, but it is quickly becoming one that I tend to go to, just, you know, setting it up on the coffee table and having a nice like fireplace channel. You guys will hear me say a lot of these like warm, cozy vibe things that I do with these board games, but just setting it up on the coffee table and just having that cozy vibe of setting up Cascadia and playing it either solo or multiplayer. So that is number 1 for honorable mentions. And then the second one, y'all are gonna be like, Jenna, you're crazy, because this is definitely not a comfort game. But to me, this game brings me a lot of comfort. It is easy for me to get to the table, specifically solo. I will say a lot of these are like comfort games I bring to the table a lot solo, in front of a nice fireplace channel, cozy vibes, just easy to get to the table, not having to really, not necessarily think too much, but just like having no like stress, you know. It just lifts a weight off my shoulders playing these games. I don't know. But saying that, my second honorable mention is Hadrian's Wall. Everyone's like, are you kidding me? That is the opposite of a comfort game. But for some reason, I could just play Hadrian's Wall every single night, and it brings me so much joy and so much comfort. It is so easy to get to the table. I've started doing the solo campaign, and it just makes me so happy. So this one is an honorable mention because like it's technically not a comfort game, but it brings me comfort, and I guess that's all that matters. But yeah, if you guys don't know what Hadrian's Wall is, it is published by Garfield Games and Renegade Game Studios, and it is designed by Bobby Hill. A child is screaming outside. But it is a pretty heavy roll and write where you are using workers and resources that you're getting from one card being flipped, and then using those resources to fill out different things on 2 sheets. One side is your wall and your protection of your village, and the other side is your village or your town, with different things throughout there that you can put workers in, and it's just such an amazing puzzle. And I never, like, it's really kind of a stressful theme if you think about it. There's people coming and attacking your village, and you're trying to build up your wall to, you know, keep your village safe, but yet it brings me so much comfort. So I don't know what's going on here, but we're just leaving it. Hadrian's Wall is a comfort game to me. Come at me. So those are my 2 honorable mentions for 2 different reasons. One being that I haven't had Cascadia for long enough, and Hadrian's Wall, y'all might think I'm crazy, but it is a comfort game to me, so I wanted to include it, but not in the 10. But speaking of the 10, let's get into the top 10 that I came up with here. So the first game that I want to chat about is this one right here. This is Rome, and it is published by Red Raven Games and designed by Ryan Lockett. And just by the cover, like, this brings me so much comfort and just warmth. I don't know what it is about it. The mix of the gameplay and the art just makes me happy, and it's one that I could play over and over again, and it just, like this video is, brings me comfort, okay? But basically, Rome is 2 to 4 players, so this is actually a game that I've never soloed. I don't think there's any solo variant for it, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But basically, you have a grid or a map in the center of the board that is made out of 6 different cards, that each of those cards are split up into 6 different sections. Yes, and basically everyone has a group of people that they start with. You have like your starting villagers, I'm going to call them, but each of those villagers give you a polyomino shape of some sort that you can place onto the map with different little, I don't know what they're called, like just tokens, I guess. So for example, there might be one character that allows you to place 3 tokens in a little L formation somewhere on the map. So you will place that formation down with your tokens, and then your villager gets flipped over, meaning that they have been used already. And your goal of this game is to get the most of your colored token on a certain card. Once that card is filled, so all 6 spots have been filled with different tokens of, you know, all of the players' colors, the person with the most color on that card receives that card, and that actually flips over and turns into another villager that you can then use on future turns. And I believe it goes up to the first person with 10 different characters in front of them. That triggers the end of the game, and each villager has a different amount of victory points attached to them, and everyone just adds up all of their villagers, and whoever has the most victory points at the end wins. And it's such a calming game to me, which is kind of funny because it is like area majority, which typically stresses me out, but this one is very different, and I don't know what it is about it. I think just because there's so much space and things are moving, like you're going through cards so quickly that it's not as punishing when, like, you know, you might have a few colors on a certain card and you might have been going for that card, but someone beat you to it. That card gets taken away, but then another card gets put right back on the board. So it's not as punishing that way. You always have somewhere to put your tokens and, you know, gain more victory points. So I really, really enjoy Rome. I definitely recommend checking it out. And that is my number 10, I guess. They're not in any order. These are just 10 games. It's not like from 10 to 1 kind of thing, but that is Rome. Moving into a roll and write. This is a roll and write that I've talked about quite a bit on the channel, but this is one of the first roll and writes that we ever got, and this is Cartographers. I love this game so much. This is published by Thunderworks Games, and it is designed by Jordi Adden, and there is actually another version of this called Cartographers Heroes as well, which I do have. And then there are a bunch of different map packs you can get. So the universe of Cartographers is so big and so much to explore, but just the game in general, having the 4 seasons and going through each of the goals. Basically, you have a map that is like a big grid. In Cartographers, you are a cartographer, obviously, and you are creating a map. And this grid you fill up with different polyomino shapes that you're seeing when you flip over cards. And each of those polyomino shapes can be a bunch of different types of lands. You're drawing that on your cartographer map. And there are 4 different seasons and 4 different goals, or like, I guess, public goals. And each season you're scoring for 2 different public goals. So in the first season, you're doing A and B, and then second season is B and C, C and D, and then D and A. And then you count up all of your victory points at the end, and that is your finishing score. And I think I've talked about how I am pretty good at this game, and I really, really enjoy the puzzle of this game. And like I mentioned, there are a ton of different things in this world of cartographers to explore, and it just makes me so happy. I enjoy this multiplayer. I also enjoy it solo. It's easy to get to the table. It's easy to teach, and everyone that we teach this to really enjoys it. But yeah, it's just a game that we've had for a long time. I absolutely love, and I've never gotten sick of it. It is such a fantastic game, and it brings me a lot of comfort. So that is my number 9. Cartographers. Moving into the next game. This is a pretty small box game, and this is one that we talked about a little bit here on the channel, but this is Ohanami or Ohanami. I've heard it both ways, but it is published by Pandasaurus Games and designed by Stefan Bendorf, and this is a small box card game of you creating a Zen garden. This game is so comforting to me, and so, again, easy to get to the table. All of these games, I feel like, are comfort games to me because they are just so easy to get to the table. I never have to stress about relearning rules. I never have to stress about the gameplay in general-ish. Obviously, in most of these games, there are strategy and competition between players and stuff like that, but even with that, they still bring me so much comfort. But Ohanami was one that I knew right off the bat that I needed to have on this list because it has just been a game that has provided so much comfort and so much joy to me. But in Ohanami, it is a card drafting game where I believe you start out with, I think, 10 cards in your hand. You are picking 2, placing them in your gardens, and then giving the rest to the person on your left or your right, depending on the round. And you are trying to create 3 different lines of cards. These are your different gardens, and the cards have to be in ascending or descending order, however you look at it. And once you place 2 cards beside one another, so whether it is, 62-63 or if it's 62-72, once you place them right beside each other, you can't put anything in between. So, you might find a 65, but because you put a 62 and a 72 right beside each other, or right like on top of one another, you can't put anything in between that. So you're always having to either build up or build down, and it is just such a fun puzzle, but I never find it too stressful. I always find a way to kind of, get the cards in the right order and always have a spot for the cards that I do get from the person beside me. There's been a few little stressful moments, but honestly, just the art and the vibes of this game, it is just so easy, again, to get to the table and teach. It just provides a lot of joy and a lot of comfort. So that is Ohanami or Ohanami. Moving into a game that purely is a comfort game to me just because of the theme and the art, and honestly the gameplay too. It is absolutely fantastic, but that is Dog Lover. This is published by AEG and designed by David Short, and this game is the cutest thing ever. I've heard a lot of people talk about Cat Lady as well, which is the one that came out before Dog Lover. I've heard that they have very similar gameplay, but Dog Lover has a little bit more options when it comes to drafting, I believe. But basically, you have you're trying to get as many dogs in front of you and take care of those dogs as well as possible by feeding them and giving them toys and taking them on walks and different things like that for victory points. And you have, I think, a starting dog. You have a starting dog, and then you have a trick. So your starting trick is the formation that you are able to take cards from a center pool. So I believe the center pool is a 3x3 card grid that you can take in different ways. So with your starting card, you might have, or your starting trick, you might have that you can draft in a straight line. So you will look at the cards and then draft 3 cards from there in a straight line. You can get other tricks as you play and allow you to draft in different shapes. So you could end up getting a trick later in the game that allows you to draft in, you know, a large L. So you can actually take like 5 cards at one time, and then obviously the pool gets refilled once someone drafts cards. And those cards are different things from toys to walks to traits for your dogs. It sounds like I'm saying treats, but it's traits, like a personality trait. And it gets your dog different points different ways. But speaking of treats, you can also get the food, and you have to be able to feed your dogs, and it is just such a fantastic, fantastic game. Again, super easy to get to the table. The theme and the gameplay is just so freaking cute, and it brings me so much joy and comfort. So that is number 4, or I guess we're counting down, so number 6. Dog lover. Next up is a game that I've chatted about quite a bit, and everyone at this point probably knows this is one of my comfort games, but that is the Whatnot cabinet. This is published by Pencil First Games, and it is designed by Steve Finn and Eduardo Baroff. The illustrations are from Beth Sobel, so you know the art is going to be beautiful. But in this game of the Whatnot cabinet, you are collecting different trinkets to put into your Whatnot cabinet, and you're drafting tiles from a public pool and then placing them in your cabinet in different ways to score points. I believe it's columns, you want all the same color, and in rows you want all the same types of trinkets, and just the whole vibe of the game, like going out and finding little trinkets and drafting them and placing them in your cabinet. It's just so comforting to me. The like leaves and different things on the front just give me that warm fall vibe that I love. And the gameplay never seems to like mean or anything. Obviously people can decide to hate draft and stuff like that, but most of the time everyone is just kind of taking tiles that they need for themselves and not doing too much hate drafting, and things, you know, work out pretty nicely. Sometimes they don't, but overall just such a comforting game to me. I'm gonna say this so many times, but it's so easy to get to the table, so easy to teach, and I absolutely love the Whatnot cabinet. So that is my number 5. Moving into a slightly bigger box, this is my next comfort game. That is Dream Home. This is published by Rebel and designed by Clemens Kaliki, which I love that name. In Dream Home, you are literally creating your dream home, which is very cute and very fun to me. But basically you have a house board, your own personal house board, that you are drafting cards and putting different rooms into your house, and different like pieces of furniture in certain rooms and stuff like that. And there is a center board where you can draft 2 cards that are beside each other, so a pair of cards. One being the top row, which is a room to put in your home, and then the bottom row is either an assistant that helps you change things up, a piece of furniture that you can add to a room that you've already put in your house, or there's different color roof tiles that allow you to score points in different ways. But yes, you're drafting those 2 cards, adding the room to your house, and you're scoring victory points based on like where the rooms are and what rooms are beside each other, and the furniture that you have in the rooms, and the roof tiles like I mentioned as well. So I kind of have discovered that I find comfort in drafting games, apparently, because I'm pretty sure every single game that we have talked about so far, it's either a roll and write or a drafting game. Aside from Rome. Rome is not really a drafting game. It's area majority, which is kind of funny that that one's just randomly in here, but it just provides a lot of comfort to me. No idea why. But yeah, Dream Home is another drafting game. Card drafting, tile drafting. And I just really, really love this game. We've had it for quite a while. This was probably in our like first 20 to 30 games that we had in our collection. I love the theme of it, being someone that went to school or college for interior design, and also just loved The Sims video game growing up, or computer game growing up. This just brings me so much joy and nostalgia, and just building a little house. It's the cutest thing ever, and I really, really enjoy this one. So that is my number 5. Dream home. So like I mentioned, roll and writes are also another thing that I guess bring me a lot of comfort. And the next one is a roll and write that we've had again for quite a while, and that is Welcome to Your Perfect Home. I actually have this one. I have Welcome to New Las Vegas as well as Welcome to the Moon. And this is always the one that I tend to lean towards playing just because it brings me so much comfort. I love this game so much. I play it a ton on BGA, and it is such a fantastic roll and write. But in Welcome to Your Perfect Home, you are trying to number houses on 3 different streets in ascending order. They don't necessarily have to be in perfect ascending order, but the houses do have to ascend as they go from left to right. And you are numbering your homes by not necessarily drafting, but choosing a pair of cards from the center. There are 3 pairs of cards that everyone gets to choose from. You're not taking them, it's just you can choose out of the 3. Everyone could choose the same set of cards, or everyone could choose different ones. But you're taking that set. One of the cards has the number that you have to put on a house, and then the other one has an icon of something that you have to do, whether that is building a park, adding a pool, building fences, different things in order to gain points in different ways. I don't know what it is about this game, but I have never gotten sick of this game. I could play this over and over again, and it still just brings me so much joy and so much comfort. And this one is a little bit more difficult to learn and explain to people. I've had some difficulties in the past explaining certain things in this game, but because I've played it so much, I personally know it so well. It's just so easy to get to the table, either multiplayer or solo. Multiplayer with people that we've played before, or with before, obviously, but yes. Welcome to Your Perfect Home. The best out of the series, in my opinion, and I just really, really enjoy that one. So that is Welcome to Your Perfect Home. Moving into our final 3. The next one is one that I've chatted about a little bit here on the channel, but that is Miyabi. This is such a fantastic game that I feel like needs so much more love than it gets. So many more people need to try this game, but this is published by Haba and designed by Michael Kiesling, and it is yet another drafting game. It is a tile drafting game where you are trying to create a Zen garden with different polyomino shaped tiles. You start off with your Zen garden, which is, I believe, a 5x5 or a 6x6 grid, and you are drafting these polyomino shaped tiles and placing them on your garden, your Zen garden, in different ways. You can only place things once per round in every column, and there's 6 different types of icons that are on the tiles that you can only place in those certain rows. So it's kind of a little bit Sudoku-esque in a way. I absolutely love Sudoku. I think I've talked about that before on the channel, but it is such a great puzzle. But the theme of the Zen garden just keeps me so calm. There is a little bit of hate drafting, I will say that, but honestly, I have never really felt any sort of like stress. I feel like when someone takes a tile that I wanted, I just kind of get another one, and it still gets me points in some sort of way. And it is definitely one of my comfort games. So that is my number 3, Miyabi. Moving into a solo only game. This is my only solo only game, I believe, and that is Coffee Roaster. This is published by Stronghold Games and designed by Sashi, I believe. And this is a solo only game where you are trying to brew the best cup of coffee. I don't know if it's just the theme of this one that brings me so much comfort, or just the ease of getting it to the table, because it is a solo only game, so I'm only having to rely on myself and there's not anybody working against me. I think that's probably the reason why it brings me so much comfort. I just love this game so much. Basically, you have your roasting rounds where you are actually building up a bag of coffee beans, and you're trying to build up your bag as good as possible until you move into the brewing phase, where then you'll be picking stuff out of a bag. It's a little bit stressful in that aspect where it is a bag builder and it's kind of based on chance and luck in a way, but honestly I don't get too stressed about it. If you build your bag really well, then the brewing phase isn't as stressful and you know that you will be picking out the things that you will need to create the best cup of coffee. Such a fantastic game. It brings so much joy and warmth to my heart. Again, with the coffee theme, you guys know how much I love coffee. If you don't, I really love coffee. But yes, this is such a fantastic solo-only bag builder game with a great theme. Really love it. But that is my number 2 coffee roaster. And the last game that we are going to be chatting about today is a game I feel like I've talked about a lot here on the channel, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it before, but that is Tiny Towns. Tiny Towns is definitely a comfort game to me. We've had Tiny Towns in the collection for quite a while, and it is a fantastic game. But I will say that the only way that it brings me comfort is in the solo variant. So multiplayer in this definitely does not really bring me comfort. I feel like it just frustrates me most of the time. That's it. It just frustrates me. Does not bring any comfort whatsoever. But when I am playing a solo game of Tiny Towns, I love this game so much, and it brings me a lot of comfort because you are just drafting the cubes yourself. You have basically in Tiny Towns, you have, yeah, again, it's a drafting game. Oh my goodness, Jenna. Drafting brings me comfort. I'm gonna make a t-shirt that says that. Drafting brings me comfort. But anyways, basically in Tiny Towns, you have your little grid, which is your town. It is a 4x4 grid, I believe. And on your turn, you are taking a cube. In the multiplayer game, if it's someone's turn, they tell everyone else what type of resource cube to pick up. So for example, if it was my turn, I'd say everyone pick up a glass. So then everyone would have to take a glass and place it somewhere in their 4x4 grid. But in a solo game, you have 3 cards in front of you with 3 different resources on it. You can pick up one of those 3 resources and then discard that card and flip over a new one. So you kind of have a pool of 3 different types of resources at all times that you're picking from. And then you are placing the cubes in different configurations in order to build certain buildings. So for example, if you want to build a farm, the farm configuration is that you have to have 2 wood, and then I believe it's a wheat and a brick in like a 2x2 square. And then once you have those, you take the cubes off and then place that building. And each of the buildings have a different configuration of cubes in different ways and different scoring conditions. So there's a bunch of different cards that you can choose from each game. So every single game feels different in a way, which I love. And I just really, really enjoy solo Tiny Towns, and it brings me a lot of comfort. Okay, friends, so that is everything for today's video. These were 10/12 games that just bring me comfort. They're games that I find it's so easy to get to the table, and when I do play them, it just brings me so much joy and just like a warmth inside that I just can't explain. And it is something that I just really enjoy in fall, and a feeling that I just love just playing a game and you don't have a care in the world, and it just, you're like so happy and so comforted by the game's art and gameplay. It just makes me very, very happy. So I was going to do a video on like fall themed games, like top 10 fall games, but I felt like a lot of people were doing that, and I wanted to do something that still, you know, portrayed that warm, cozy feeling of fall, but in a different way. So hopefully you guys enjoyed these comfort games. Like I said in the intro, let me know your comfort games down in the comment section. I would love to chat about that. Any games that based off of these 12 you think would give me comfort, let me know those as well. But yeah, that is everything for today. I love you guys so, so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.